Okay. And we're back.
And
we're back.
We're back. Yes, we're back. And the show is over. Thank you, everybody. No.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just kidding. Okay, everybody's starting to pop back in.
Okay,
so we have a total viewer right now of 2. Right now, we're going to get in touch with Brandon. Just to let you guys know who are tuning in right now, well, we got Brandon on. He's got live action all over him. He's coming on. You've got to get Skype up.
I want to deactivate the other.
Marriage is great. For all those young guys who've never been married, get married. It's great.
Hold on.
You're going to love being married. Woo. Marriage is great. This is not a show about marriage, but I'm going to tell the young guys, get married. It's great. You're going to love it. You're going to love every minute of it.
Oh, gosh. Okay,
let's go to Brandon now. Let's go to Brandon!
All right. Now I hear.
Okay, hold on.
I hear him.
Brandon?
Yep.
Hello, I can't hear you, Brandon. No, I'm kidding. I'm
He's
kidding,
just
Brandon, loud and clear. All right, so Brandon, welcome, ladies and gents. Mr. Brandon Sausele.
All right.
Yeah, okay, how you doing, Brandon?
Good. You?
Awesome. Yeah, well, you know, Brandon, the way things were looking on your end on here wasn't that good, but hey, we're getting there right now. Everybody's slowly coming back on, right?
Yeah,
how many viewers do we have on right now? I think you did the wrong one. That one.
No, I know.
That's the one.
I just want to deactivate
So we
the other
did
one.
have up to 77 viewers, which was like a record before we even started the show.
Yeah, let me.
And I just ruined everything. Oh, let's not say I ruined it when I said yes at the altar, all right? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
Kidding. I love you. Don't
You're
leave.
so-
Keep the stream going, baby. All right, so how many people we got on now? We want to make sure we have as many people as we got on before we introduce the man, Brandon Sausele, how to catch big striped bass. I know
Almost
that,
there,
and Brandon
therefore.
knows that, but you'll never know that, so might as well not even come on the
People are
show
coming
right
back, coming back.
now. Yeah, we're coming back.
Let me just deactivate the other one. Hold on.
Yeah, deactivate the other one. Why are you making things difficult for people? This was the same thing at the altar. You didn't say yes right away. Why? I still don't know. Jesus Christ.
Okay, hold on. Live replay.
All right.
This one here.
This was a tough one,
This was the
Brandon,
first
tonight,
one.
but I'm glad you made it with us. I'm glad you're here, and the lucky viewers who are here are going to hear it tonight. Get off my channel. No, I'm kidding. Hold on a second. Are we done here, honey? I mean, all I see is a mouse flasking through the screen.
I'm just saving
Oh,
the other
my
one.
God. What am I doing?
Go ahead.
Oh, my goodness. The studio's coming apart. All right, so we can start the show right now. Brandon, welcome, finally. There it is.
Brandon?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brandon Sausele. How you doing, Brandon? What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much.
I know we were talking. Yeah, I know Brandon's like laughing. He's like, what kind of a show am I on over here? This is a joke. Brandon, I love that striped bass behind your head. I told you that yesterday. Yesterday, we only saw half of it. And we
so
told you whatever
cool.
you do, and you did a great job, Brandon. Is that your biggest fish there right behind you, Brandon? Is that your personal?
Currently, yeah.
How big was that fish behind you?
About 50 inches.
Nice, bro. So that one, can I say, was 50 pounds?
No, it was under. It was high 40s. Yeah, it was a lean fish.
Oh, it was lean fish.
In the middle of summer, you know, they're not
Yeah.
as full during the summer.
That's right. That's right. Brandon, I'm just throwing out little things here now that we started our show. We're going to talk about a lot more here. Also, I want to let you know, you just mentioned it was a lean fish in the middle of summer. I never believed in that lean fish story until Bill Wetzel told me that he caught a 44-inch, 17-pound striped bass. It looked like a missile coming straight in from Russia. And supersonic, let me add that to it. But it was a skinny fish, man. And I know in the middle of summer, just like you're saying, they're not at their fullest. Is that correct, Brandon?
Yeah, and there's not that migration drive to take advantage of every opportunity to feed, because they don't know when the next time is, in the fall and the spring.
Right.
They're more resident fish in the summer, and they feed if they want to, really, opportunistic. So, and Montauk is something else. For some reason, all the fish out there are lean, from my experience. I don't know.
Right, right.
Huh.
Okay, so let me start from the beginning. We asked some basic questions right now, but let's start from the beginning here. And I want to ask you, Brandon, how did this whole surf fishing thing take off for you? Or should I just ask fishing? Was it on a boat? Take it away, Brandon. How did this whole thing start with you?
Just like a lot of kids, my dad used to take me in local bays. It was always, we didn't have a boat though, so it was always from the shore. And, it was, I really enjoyed it. And once I got my driver's license, I just did it myself as much. I took it to another level. My dad just did it leisurely.
But,
But
yeah, I was going to...
something about getting it in the surf, because we would go on boats too at a Fire Island. You get
Sure.
30-pound fish, by doing nothing, and there wasn't that satisfaction that, getting it from the surf or the beach or
right
close to your home,
Brandon, I have to say something. Just a second ago, you mentioned that, how we all started with our dads. I did start with my dad. With my dad, if you know the story, I'll tell it again one day, not right now. But I went fishing with my dad 24 times. My dad was not a sportsman. We never caught a fish together. But I will tell you this, Brandon, that we never caught a fish. It just drove me harder as I got older. And you said when you got your driver's license, you went out with your car. Now, you're a better fisherman than me right there. Right when you got your driver's license, buddy, you were a better fisherman than me. Because you know why? You had fishing on your mind. You jumped in that car. You went on the beach with your beach bass and the whole works. And you said, check it out. I'm by myself. Look, Dad, I just caught a 32-pound striped bass. And you know what I was doing my first day I got that license? I took my girlfriend to that special spot in that parking lot, Brandon. You know what I mean? It was a great time back in those days in the story of Queens. Let me tell you. They had this parking lot, and you could take off. No, okay, let's stop right there. But you get the idea. Right there, you were a better fisherman than me because I wasn't thinking about fishing. I was thinking about pussy cats. Oh,
Jesus.
let me continue on that. I didn't say anything. What do you mean, Jesus? A freaking pussy cat. It's a cat. They're all cats. You wait till you're married 24 years.
Really, Scott?
But anyway, as Scott Lawson is saying on the board right now, if you're listening and reading that, because that's your job, is to read the board. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you ruining my night with Brandon Sausele here? After 24 years, I never thought this would happen.
Back to Brandon.
Okay, Brandon. How you doing, buddy? All right. So
Good.
Let's get back to the fishing. And I know you said you started out with your dad like everybody else, most of us. That's 100% right. So you decided to start going out on your own, and you went fishing for stripers. And you were doing what, Brandon? Tell me, when you started going out on your own, how did this all start with you?
I started on the South Shore sand beaches because it was only like I lived on the North Shore. It was only like 30 minutes away, 20 minutes. But me and my buddy would watch the videos on Montauk. There was an allure to Montauk, between famous fishermen and stories and surf casting capital of the world. So we would go in the fall sometimes for Paulie actually had tournaments way back then, like 2010 and whatnot.
Right.
We used to do his tournaments, never catch a fish to enter, but we were just starting out. And I read about wetsuiting. I would see guys doing it, and that took off. I liked it more than the sand and everything, and that's where I kind of spent all my time.
Is that what you always do? Just wetsuiting? No, not with the waders.
Yeah, I don't do waders in Montauk just because the wetsuit. You don't even have to be swimming, but there's advantages that waders don't have. If you're in a wader, you're only limited to rocks that really shouldn't be going past your chest. And in a wetsuit, you could wade out to your chest, even if it's not a far rock. It's just less limitations, really.
No doubt about it. Brandon, I got to be honest, though, and I'm an honest guy. So I've caught, 70, 80-pound striped bass in my career. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, anybody would look at me with that and be like, what the bleep are you talking about? Poseidon, I'm not watching the show. Anyway, let's continue on that striped bass thing. So I remember, me being in my younger days and going out there and going and fishing and just fishing like pretty much like a reject. But I'll never forget, Brandon, my first time in Montauk. And I'm going to tell you how it went. I went with my wife. This was 15 years ago. Now, I'm not going to say my first time because I've been there with my dad when I was a kid. I can tell you the stories. We'll talk about it maybe later. I doubt it. There's still valuable information, like the spots where Brandon fishes tonight we're going to talk about. I'm just kidding. But there's still valuable information we're going to learn about tonight. So me as a kid, you know, growing up and going out fishing to Montauk for my first time was great with my dad. But when I went with my wife, it was really my first official time going surf fishing because I spent pretty much 30 to 35 years of my life fishing in Jones Beach, Field 6. That's right. I wore, what do they call those things, honey? The men wear the Speedos? I was wearing Speedos, but I had a nice body. You know, I worked out, you know. I wasn't out there just to go fishing, but I love fishing. Don't get me wrong. So I fished a lot of my years out there. And when I finally got up enough guts, because I always heard about Montauk, like Brandon was just saying. So I went out there, and I went to Montauk for that first time, Brandon. I went to Turtle Cove. That was the first trail I went down. And my wife is there with me, and I look down, and there's like a line of like, I don't know, 100 guys going way down. So I'm just standing there for the first half hour. I'm nervous. Here I am. I have my Van Stall with me. And, you know, I just never fished Montauk. You know, I heard the stories. I read the magazines. I was ready. I was Zeno ready. I watched all that freaking videos. But I get down on the beach, and I'm looking with my wife. And my wife's pushing me because my wife's like, if she was a man, this world would be messed up. But anyway, my wife is not a man. So she was pushing me to go down on the beach. And all of a sudden, I see a guy leave the line. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get in there now. So I ran down there. I didn't run, but I gave a quick walk. And I got out down there like I knew what I was doing. My freaking wetsuit was still gleaming. I had a Sims. Remember the Sims I bought, honey?
Oh, yeah.
Sims waders. And I looked like I was pretty much a newbie, man. I was a freaking newbie. And anyway, so I get down there. I'm setting up my rod. Now the guy from my right, Brandon, I look over and I see him walking towards me. And I'm like, I don't know what to think right now. I'm like, why is he walking towards me? He keeps coming and coming. And he finally comes up to me and he goes to me, don't cross my line. You heard me, bro? And I looked at him and I go, don't worry, I won't cross your line. I looked at the guy on my left thinking I'm going to get jumped by the other guy on the other side or something for a second. These are the stories I heard in Montauk that, you know, you're not going to get the nicest guys coming up to you and going, hey, how you doing? You want to go fishing with me? Let's go around that turn over there. We'll go fishing together. So those stories are not true. But the other ones with the guys like, yo, watch yourself over here. You do got to watch yourself because those guys fishing next to you are pretty much, let's just call them professionals for the day. They know what they're doing, and they don't want to see you cross their lines and mess up their day because a cross line can ruin 15, 20 minutes. But anyway, that's what he said to me. I got right off the line. I walked up to my wife like a tough guy, and I go, yeah, I told him to go fuck himself, and I went to another spot. I don't usually do this on my show, but that's what I told my wife, and then we went to another spot. Didn't catch fish all day, but I was the happiest guy fishing all day. Now, back to Brandon. Brandon, that was my time in Montauk. So, obviously, you started going out to Montauk, and you were fishing. You caught fish just like everybody else, under the 28-inch range. But when you really started to get it in you and say, hey, man, I want to catch some big fish, how did that all start?
I mean, I was driven from the start. I was just driven personality. I used to play baseball my whole life. I'm very competitive and always wanting more. So I wasn't there just to, you know, leisurely fish. It didn't take a while either. I probably 2015 started going out with my license in Montauk, and I caught that one up there in 2016 actually. The next summer, that fish. It's lightened up with people. No one's really like arrogant, or no one was jerks to me, but there was no communication with anyone there, you know.
Yeah, it
I
was.
think it's definitely lightened up since the days you're talking about.
Yeah, without a doubt, Brandon. Okay, look, like I said, my first time was down there. I just happened to have that happen to me. But you're 100% right about those days have lightened up because it was the group that came after that last batch of, there's a lot of legends in there that we can call legends, but it was the group that came after that. That has been the group that has lightened it up a bit, without a doubt, Brandon.
How about how has the fishing changed from when you started till now? How do you see the current fishery?
So when I started, it's pretty similar fishery. It was like I said, 2015, and people arguably say 2012 was the end of the era of Montauk, legendary fishing. But I wasn't even fishing then, so I wouldn't know. What we have now is kind of the only fishery I really know.
Okay.
It's very similar to when I started.
And how would you describe it?
It's hard to, you hear stories from everyone, all the older guys that talk to you, not older, but,
Yeah.
And it sounds like they had it easier, you would say, but I don't know. It really never really crossed my mind to think of the prior fishery. That's why when, I go out, let's say for 10 hours and catch one fish, and I do that 5 nights a week, all the,
Yeah.
So I lost you there.
Sorry.
Were you
No,
saying
we're
something?
here. No. We're all good, Brandon.
All right. No, all the veterans will say, like, how do you do it? Like, I couldn't imagine going out for 10 hours and catching one fish because they don't. So being brought up in this fishery definitely has made me a better fisherman, I believe.
We have a question for you from Surfcasting Chris. What is your favorite fishing season and why, and what type of plugs do you gravitate towards?
So let's start with your favorite fishing season.
I would definitely say summer, contrary to what others say. They like the fall runs, the spring runs, but summer is, for Montauk at least, the biggest fish. You're shot at the biggest resident fish or that body of fish. I mean, for elsewhere on the island, the summer is not really good, but for Montauk, definitely the summer.
Yeah, I just want to say, Brandon, to add to that summer thing you're talking about. So I've been out with Bill Wetzel quite a few times, and I have to tell you that Bill's thing, too, is he loves the summer. He loves those summer months because back in the day, when they were doing what they were doing, which was great, those summer months were hot months, Brandon. So please continue on that.
Yeah, it's usually the fall was your blitzes of smaller fish, and they still got big fish back then. They had fish until Halloween up to 50 pounds. That's a different fishery. I never saw that. But the summer is that last body of fish that comes from the south. They finally get to Montauk, and a lot of them will stay the whole summer, and they're big fish, and they're aggressive on the moons, and there's less people out there.
That's a fact because people that I talk to, the response I get back is, Montauk. But, I feel those guys, I'm not putting down anybody out there. I'm not expecting everybody to know Montauk like the back of their hand, but I feel those guys that talk like that just don't know enough because, honestly, Brandon, I caught nice fish there. I haven't caught any 40-pound fish yet in Montauk, but I'm still dreaming about that, and I still go out there all the time. I always see Bill out there. He sees me lots out there while he's guiding because I'm out there a lot. I believe that, how could you not believe that fish are not going to come around that corner there up in the lighthouse, just around that corner, and not there to be big fish there? There's big fish there. It might be different from the glory days of the 90s, like you said, or the last days of the 2012 era, which I officially experienced. Well, let's talk about, no, I'm just kidding. But I experienced some good times in 2012. It was good times, and they'll be back. I know they'll be back, and even if they're not back, there are fish there. Am I not right, Brandon? Are there not fish there? You fish it hard, so I know that you know.
I'll tell you, actually, since the slot limit was put in, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe three. Everyone agrees that there's been a lot of more bigger fish around and better fishing just since the slot limit. And it's not because they're making a comeback just yet. It's because those fish aren't getting killed. They're thrown back. Majority of them should live. And there's the mortality rate on catch and release, but that's another thing. But I mean, usually during the summer, all those head boats would go out, those charter boats, and there was a lot of fish they'd kill, big fish, and it was easy. And they can't do that now, and I think we're seeing the effects of that.
And what about like surf casting? Chris was asking, what types of plugs do you gravitate towards, and what type of rig do you
My go-tos are definitely Super Strike darters, Super Strike bottles, and Super Strike needles. I also fish one wooden darter by this guy Rick Olson. It's a phenomenal plug.
Oh, nice.
But surprisingly, bottle plugs. Bottle plugs will get down deeper, so people don't think of bottles in Montauk. But since I do fish further out on the rocks, it's definitely one of my go-tos.
I have to just mention, Brandon, that I was in Demo Point with my buddy Gelso Pasquarelli. He also makes rods. He took over for Lou Caruso. He was his project many years. But I had to throw that in. But Gelso was next to me fishing. He was fishing on a bottle plug, and he scored a 39-pound striped bass right next to me. I didn't come close. I got a 25-pounder that night, I have to admit. But I'm proud of that. I'm proud of freaking catching a 20-inch fish. But getting back to Gelso and getting back to what you said, those bottle plugs definitely 100% do get you down a little further. And if you're out there and you're in a blitz and most of the fish, let's just say, are in the 28, 35-inch range, which is your slot fish, and you're catching those, and you want to get down a little deeper, I love those bottle plugs. They're good stuff. They're going to get you down a little deeper. You want to get down a little deeper with metalheads, where you have that circle and you hook it up, lift it up a little, and get you down a little further. But I love bottle plugs for that reason, because I do fish Massachusetts a lot. I fish off of, I want people to know, honey. My wife's like, would you hurry up? But I want people to know that the reason I know that they're good is because I do fish a lot of cliffs, and they do get down deeper. They definitely, 100%, Brandon.
Yeah, definitely.
WR is asking Brandon, how you fish the needlefish?
Those are always famous questions that we get, but let's hear it from you, Brandon. How do you fish a needlefish? And don't tell me you don't fish one. I'm just kidding, Brandon. I don't want to fight you.
I fish the needlefish exactly like a bucktail, really. You got to match the weight of the needle to the water you're in. Usually the go-to Montauk needlefish is it's the longer yellow-eyed Super Strike, an ounce and a quarter, 3/4 maybe. But if it's calm waters, that'll do it. And you just really cast it out, let it sink a little. You don't have to go to the bottom, and just work it like a bucktail with some, twitches and rises and letting it fall. That's how I do it, at least.
Nice.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know I have a lot of guys out there like Charlie, the Wolf of Rhode Island. He always likes fishing his needlefish. I fish with him. He'll throw it out there. He'll let it ride with the current, which a lot of guys do also in the canal. I hear a lot of famous stuff about how to catch or how to fish the needlefish. And I've tried all types of methods. I've caught fish. All right, take it away, Brandon. I see you.
No, I just had some. This is the Montauk needle. This one has a lot of mojo on it, a lot of years, but it's a yellow-eyed, longer one, 6 inch.
Who makes that? Who makes that, Brandon?
That's Super Strike. It just got a lot of wear and tear on it.
There you go.
But yeah.
You know what I like about that? Can you put that up again, Brandon?
Yeah.
That needlefish. So you know what I like about that? Take a good look at that, guys. You heard what Brandon said?
Pretty beat up.
It's got a lot of wear and tear. It's pretty beat up. Look, it's got a little rust there on the side. But what is the man ready for? Brandon, I'm complimenting you because your hooks are brand new. They're ready to go. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'll save the plugs after I catch a 40 or a trophy fish on. I'll usually save the plug because it's $20. Might as well. But all the plugs I have mostly saved from big fish all have brand new hooks on them.
That's
And
smart.
but all of my big fish are usually come from like when I'm on a bite, meaning I know that there's big fish around, so I change the hooks prior to running into these fish. In other words, it's not random fish on rusty hooks that I wasn't prepared for.
Right.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
that's
My whole
smart.
wall is like new hooks on these plugs.
Mr. P, all your hooks don't look like that.
Did you? What? See, my wife likes to bring me down
get
right
you
on
back.
the lies. They're rusty, aren't they? A few of them are broken. They're bent, right? Yes, Brandon, get ready. Don't start a YouTube talk show with your wife. Do not do this. I'm kidding, guys. I love my wife. Great question, honey. I've done half of them. I have done half of them.
Hold on. We have Danny Morales. Thank you, Danny. He's asking, ask Brandon, did he fish your 3-day challenge? I was next to him on a rock. Not sure he was a part of the tourney.
Oh, you wrote that earlier. See that comment. Danny, write it again. He said that he was fishing next to you and you snagged on your first cast. You were next to him. I see Brandon smiling like, I don't snag.
No, I don't know. I can't recall.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know.
But I did do the challenge. I didn't.
Yeah,
weigh
he
some
was there.
fish.
And you know what? I want everybody to know something about you, Brandon. Brandon was such a cool guy. Now, I never met Brandon before. I've seen him at the Bill Wetzel shindigs. I never gone up to him and been like, hey, how you doing? I'm Mr. Poseidon. What up? Get the hell away from me. But anyway, I never did that. So I have to tell you that, what was I going to tell him, honey?
Oh, because at the challenge, I think you were going to say that you told people no skishing.
Oh, right. Thank you.
No.
My wife is so smart. Now, Brandon, on the good end of it, if you got yourself a smart one, she can remind you of shit that you forgot totally when you're supposed to remember, that's when they're valuable. Mostly that's when they're valuable. Well, there's other ones, but we won't mention those either. But right now. Anyway, so going back to the challenge, right? You came up to me, Brandon, right? I didn't know who you were, and you came into the booth to register, and you gave me a hand, and you said, hey, how you doing? They call me Brandon, the Elvis of fishing. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that, nothing like that. But he did come up into the booth, and he gave me his hand. He goes, hey, what's up? I'm Brandon. He goes, hey, listen. He goes, I know a lot of people, and a lot of people were talking. They're like, oh, you got Brandon Sausele? I'm not joining. I'm like, why? Well, he wears a wetsuit, and he goes out to rocks. I'm like, well, listen. I'll take care of that, I said, No. It was nothing like that. He came up to me, goes, hey, look, I just wanted to show you. I didn't wear my wetsuit. I normally wear it, whether I go out swishing or not. But for your tournament, I'm wearing my waders. Brandon, I'm going to tell you right now, that was so cool of you, bro. Thank you so much. So much respect for that, because as soon as you left, I looked at my wife, and I went up to her ear, and I'm like, I don't trust that sneaky bastard.
No,
I didn't say that. But I did say to my wife, he just came up to me. He's wearing his what a cool guy. So when, I also spoke to Bill Wetzel. I asked him, hey, oh, no, he's honest guy, top of the tier. So you get a lot of pluses on you. I thank you for that. Go ahead, honey.
Wetsuiting is different from skishing, right?
Yes. So
right.
Skishing is when you just put on fins and float out there in the rips and, off the boulders and fish. I don't do that.
Okay.
There's too many sharks now, but
okay.
That was an older thing. You can't even do it in the tournaments that I do. So
right.
Yeah, I'm going to have a skishing only in the Riptides
No.
tournament this year. No, I'm just kidding.
Do it. I'll do
So
it.
we have Brass Wrangler asking any gear or general safety tips for people who want a wetsuit to swim.
Definitely need a good pair of corkers. That's in
Okay.
general for Montauk to hold the
Yeah.
rocks really. A good wetsuit. As far as gear and safety, maybe a knife. You know, I do carry a dive knife on my side. Some people carry it on their leg.
Okay.
I've heard of stories, and I've experienced myself, is getting caught in line out there. You know, you think of dead line that people they cut off, they lose their line. But if you're actually swimming, you can get tangled up in it, and you could drown that way. I knew a guy that
Oh my
got caught around his legs, and he was kind of drowning because of it.
Okay.
So that's where a knife would come in handy to cut yourself free.
No doubt.
I would say definitely in recent years to use your light when you're landing a fish in the summer, especially for sharks, because I don't think the sharks are going to target anyone, but it's going to happen when you're landing the fish in the water, especially if you're chest deep and a lot of guys like myself, we usually don't use our lights. You get night vision adapted, and you don't need it. But if you're landing a fish in the summer, there's been sharks, on the fish, and if you were to put your hand there to grab it, that's when something's gonna happen.
Ooh.
So definitely use your headlamp or neck lamp when you're landing fish.
Okay.
Right, right. I wanted to mention about that landing part. So I'm very impressed by you, Brandon, and I don't know if I should be, and it should be just like that for you naturally, because you are an excellent fisherman. My wife is saying right now, what? You don't know everything, all right? My goodness. Let me finish what I want to say. Oh, my goodness. Brandon, you got a long way to go, buddy. But what I want to say is that I forgot what I was... See, now you got my thinking off track. But anyway, so I was going to say about fishing. And what was I saying? My wife is looking at me and I'm like, wow, what did you want to say?
So, sorry.
Not my
Can't
fault.
help you. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, I was going to say something about Brandon's wife, about how she feels. Well, I'm going to say wife now because she is your wife. I know you're pretty much a
Recently
newlywed.
married?
Yeah,
Yeah, December.
December.
Oh,
you could see it's
congratulations.
settling in right now. Because
December
just
was
from that
just the other
answer, and if
day.
she's watching, I'm sorry, Brandon. But just by her watching, he's like,
That's
yeah,
nice.
December. So you're on the boat right now. Hey, woo, woo. We're all on the boat together right now. But hey, listen, I got a great wife. I have to admit it right here online. I fool around online and all this, and I'm going to kill her after the show. But
We're going to kill each
yeah,
other.
but the truth is that I got a good wife, man. She does everything for me. Without me, there'd be no Mr. Poseidon. It'd be Mr. Poseidon, the crackhead, somewhere on some curb right now in Manhattan. But anyway, thank goodness I got my wife in this thing. She is my backbone. Behind every good man, there's always a better woman. But, okay, let's go back to that skishing thing, because
Yeah.
I just want to let people know that you impressed me, Brandon, when you said that, it's when you bring in the fish. And
Oh, about
guys,
landing the fish?
don't consider the fish that dumb. When you're reeling in a fish and he's stuck on a hook and Brandon's bringing him in, he's not swimming his regular, miles per hour in the water.
Yep.
He's going slow. And you can believe or not that there are fish such as sharks lurking on the bottom, which isn't that deep already over there. And there's a fish going by at 2-3 miles an hour. They will be behind it. They will be bugged out saying, why is that fish swimming so slow? But when they finally make that get-go for the fish and they attack it, if you've ever seen a shark attack a fish, it's not like a love melody thing. This thing attacks at vicious speeds. And, at the moment he's hitting the striped bass that you just caught, he might not be hitting the striped bass. He might be hitting your arm or whatsoever. So this is where it becomes really dangerous. And tell me more about that part, Brandon, of when you're reeling in that fish and you're on a rock deep in the water.
Landing?
Well, it kind of started like 4 years ago. The sharks, I had a fish bit in half reeling in, and I'd never experienced that. And I told some guys, and they never really experienced it.
Wow. Wow.
And then every summer going forward until now, it's just been getting worse and worse with the sharks. They're just
Wow.
almost every fish is getting bit,
Huh.
people having 30, 40-pound fish bit in half, reeling it in. And
That's crazy.
and then we start seeing them, like shining my light. I remember landing a fish out last summer, 2 summers ago, and I was shining my light just, when the fish was coming in, and there was a big shark with a head like this right behind it.
Huh.
And I jumped off the rock, but it's messed up. I was able to actually lure the shark onto the reef because I still had the half a striped bass on the end of my line. So
Ah.
I kind of walked back on the reef, and the thing followed me all the way until like 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water.
Wow.
And it's
Wow.
messed up. They had no fear of my light,
Right.
of me. They just so.
That's crazy.
Food.
But like,
Food
yeah,
and nature for animals, that don't have a
Savage.
sense of, hey, we'll go to McDonald's after this. But
yeah.
I get what you mean, Brandon. Those times are scary. I've heard the old timers talking about where they've hung them on the back of their stringer, and they've had fish, attack the strimmer and pull them off rocks and things
That's
like that. I've heard.
that's another safety tip. I wouldn't use a stringer anymore for that reason. Yeah,
There you go, guys.
yeah.
To all
It's,
the stringer dealers out there. I'm sorry, but our life is just a little bit more important.
I still carry one
Okay.
because I don't care that much about the situation,
right.
but I wouldn't if I were you or anyone else getting into it.
Right.
That's right, guys. So, guys, you know that Brandon is a superhero when it comes to surf fishing, and nothing is going to affect him. I don't care if it's a great white 97-foot long shark. If Brandon is there, you're safe. If Brandon's not around, don't be fishing on weak fish rock for stripers late at night. Don't do that in the middle of summer, especially.
Yeah, I tell you now, my buddies and I, we carry tourniquets and quick clot now in the summer. So if you ever buy me fishing, feel free to come by with a shark bite or something.
Wow, cool. Brandon,
but
check it out.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
tell me your arm's missing. Yeah, how'd you know?
Oh,
Just
I
in
love it.
case.
Just in case, though, you guys get it. Brandon, this is so cool with you right now. So
WR, ask Brandon what it's like fishing live eels in Montauk in the middle of the night.
Oh no.
In what sense? About like the sharks or just in general?
I don't know what WR means. Maybe-
WR, come back with that. Ask Brandon what it's like fishing live eels in Montauk in the middle of the night. I mean, what are we talking? Is he on a rock? Is he swishing? He's not that crazy, but
How about
what's up? Brandon, ask. Go ahead, ask it, buddy. I see you ready to ask it.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't.
In general, WR says.
Okay, in general, yeah, it's definitely a very productive means of fishing. I used to throw eels more often. I don't now because it's a lot to get ready for the night. If I'm fishing 5 nights a week to get an aerator of, and a tank of eels ready every single night is not really practical for me. But usually best on a nice calm night, no winds. Don't add any weight to it. Just throw it out live. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's dead either, but just throw it weightless. But you'll catch a lot of rays and sharks now because of that.
Okay.
And if you're swimming out with an eel bag on your side, I'd be wary of that too.
Wow.
Oh.
Very cool.
But as far as productiveness, yeah, the eels is one of the best things to throw in Montauk.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just want to say really quick that, I'm not like you, Brandon, and I'll tell you why, for reasons like this. Right when I start building up enough confidence and I say, hey, I'm going to get a wetsuit, I have 2 wetsuits. They're almost brand new. I barely wear them because, I watch these guys, they swim out to rocks. Some of the rocks I might be able to make, but I'm still like iffy, man. I'm like, if I'm in the water, and I'll tell you why. I fish a lot in Demo Point out in Long Island. And last year was my first year. I'm in the water in about 4 feet of water, and I feel a bump to my right, and I had no idea. So it almost felt like a human bump. So I turn around. I'm like, what the freak was that? So I couldn't figure it out. Then I turned on my light, and there were 2 brown sharks swimming around me. Now, understand, folks, I'm not trying to scare you. The brown shark was not going to eat me. He was going to eat me with the way I felt.
You felt like
I just had Captain Crunch. He smelt it. He wanted to eat me. No. So anyway, basically, they weren't going to touch me. They're just curious animals.
Yeah.
And they do that a lot. If you surf fish, I mean, really at night, and you feel a bump, it's probably a brown shark. If you feel like your leg's bitten off, it's a great white, and you pretty much forget about it. Screw the fishing season and everything. But I did feel that bump. I turned on my light, and I saw 2 fish swimming around me, and I almost freaked out. And the water was so calm that night. Well, anyway, that was that. But tell me some experiences you've had with your fish, Brandon. Sharks, that is.
There was that one story, and I've been landing though, because like when you're wetsuiting, you could be on a rock up to your chest, or if you fell off the rock. A lot of times you land the fish just treading water because you fell off when you're fighting and whatnot. I've seen a shark go after mine and then bump me in the same scenario. No bites or anything, but there was that. We've had them, come up on the reefs, like I said, in shallow water and bite people's fish. No one's gotten bitten yet, though. So
Thank God.
it's not,
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want
Let's
that.
see. We have here Mike Creed asking, ask Brandon if he's had more success on new moons or full moons.
Yeah, I like that question.
Definitely new moons.
Okay.
The full moons could be, just as productive depending on what time of the year they fall on or what portion of the month. But that bright, spotlight moon without any cloud cover it's very rarely a good night when it's like that.
Yeah.
You want that pitch black new moon. As far as, I have seen where I'm already on a bite of big fish and the moon comes up, like we're coming up on the moon and it's a bright night and the action's still just as good. But I've never been just trying to find some fish and then on the full moon with a bright night, they turn on for the first time. It's usually maybe you're on a bite already and it doesn't affect them. But as for rule of thumb, a lot of guys will like the new moons better too.
Yeah.
Very good.
It is good. Now, I want to ask you on that new moon. So, on that new moon, perfect conditions, Brandon, all right? You're looking for what you want. You got the new moon out that night. You're going out fishing. You're on the surf. Let's just say that right there, you're an hour before high tide. What are you going to use in a situation like that? What's your favorite lure to use?
Depends on the spot, but if it's calm, probably a super strike, darter, or a needle, or I kind of rotate the 3 bottle plug, and
Wow.
that's kind of what I stick to. Yeah, maybe eels on a calm night like that if there's no wind. But
All right, so what got me out of that whole little thing, I have to interrupt, is because you said, depends on the area that you're fishing in. What do you mean by that, Brandon? Because why does it matter? Now, I might know, but I want other people to know out there. Why does it matter that if I'm fishing in this area and I'm fishing with a bottleneck versus what you're fishing with is just a super strike? Now, I'll tell you the answer right away, but why would you use that, or why would you? Go ahead.
it definitely depends on the depth. Like on the north side of Montauk, there's some reefs out there that you got to throw super strike darters, or just darters in general. The bottle plug's going to go right into the ground. A needlefish is going to just drag bottom. But if you push out on the south side, a further reef, you're in 15 feet of water, you could throw anything. Really depends on the depth, I would say.
Gotcha.
Yeah, without a doubt, Brandon. That's good. And I'm glad you said that. I hope people are picking up on this, that it isn't just about throwing whatever you want. You gotta know your areas first. And if you don't know your areas, that's why you have a surf bag, and that's why you have different types of plugs in there. So if you need that plug to dig a little deeper, go ahead, honey. Go ahead.
People asking Brandon, what setup, what rod do you prefer to fish with? What rod, what reel?
Um, to start, I use 11-foot rods. I definitely like the larger than a 10-foot, and it's more powerful. But I use a Cousins. It's brand Cousins. They're out of business or
Wow.
not making rods anymore. But I always had Cousins rods. I think Paulie from Paulie Stackle turned me on to them, and they're just a really beefy, stick. I use an 11M, which is medium action, and it's pretty beefy compared to like a Lamiglass M. And I've never broken one. So
Oh,
as far as reels, I use Van Stalls and Montauk. You have to. 250 is the range. Van Staal 250. The 200 is a little small out there, and the 275 takes in a little too much line, too fast for me. That's another thing. I like to fish really slow. That's one thing I do out there, is as slow as possible. And if you're fishing a 275 that takes in more line, no matter how slow you're fishing, your lure's coming in faster. So I try to avoid that. But Van Staal anywhere from 200, I guess, to 275.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's cool. I the only reason I don't like the 275 is that's where it gets a little too big for me. I'm not the tallest guy, and I'm not the strongest guy.
Reel.
Yeah, it's a big reel, man, to carry around for such a long time. This year, I got some new addition to my reel. Excuse me, to my rod club. I picked up the Evolution, the 2-8. I'm very excited about using that. I was using a Dinosaur in the Century, and I'm not saying Century is a bad rod. By no means at all. I believe in that company. Century makes an excellent fishing rod. It's just that the one that I had was about 12 years old, and they just don't make them like that anymore. I've been through everything with that. Never had a repair on it until this year. Finally had to make a repair on it. But that rod, also with the GSB being up there, some of my two top rods, we'll see how the Evolution works out this year. It's some light stuff, something that I didn't need in my older age of 28 years old. And so we'll see how that works out in the future, which I can't wait to use. And honey, are you going fishing with me this year? You always go fishing with me. My wife's the best. I love my wife. She goes fishing with me all the time. So Brandon, let's keep going because I don't want to lose you that quick. I've had quite a big current viewers right now, Brandon, are about 100. And I want to thank you for that and thank yourself for that because you are the man you are. And believe it or not, there are many people on the sneak following you because you are a good fisherman and you catch some big fish. Is there any way we can get some of those pictures I had up of him? You know, the ones on my...
On the Instagram.
It's funny, a lot of those you posted were
yeah.
from wader fish, like on Fire Island. If I'm in waders, it's Fire Island.
Ah, there you go.
That was back in 2015, maybe 2016, but
that was on the Instagram reel.
Yeah. I want to mention also Joe Pinto. Joe Pinto was also at the Mr. Poseidon's second annual Montauk Challenge that I had this year. It says, where besides Montauk is his favorite place to fish?
Block Island, maybe. I was there once a couple summers ago. It's very similar to Montauk. If you want a wetsuit or go on the rocks, it really looks identical to Montauk. But not a fan of really back bays or skinny water or sand beaches. But I love fishing anywhere. But if I had to choose, it'd be more like the rocky boulder fields and whatnot, like Montauk has.
Right, Brandon.
You have to be fit to jump up on those rocks. We had Dylan Jewell said about you, Brandon. Brandon is part seal. I've never seen anyone get up and down a rock as quick as him.
There you go.
You have to be. You have to be.
Yeah,
part
you have
seal.
to be in shape. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are a part of the new. By the way, I want to mention Dylan Jewell. He'll be on the show coming up in April. He has his date. He's got a lot to do with the Libba Foundation there that they're running. He's been recently promoted to a board position there. I don't know if it's president now or vice president, but I know he cares a lot about that. And Brandon Jewell, if you follow him. Excuse me.
You're confused.
Yeah, let me get this all right now. This is where Mr. Poseidon's famous for. It's not Match the Hatch. It's Match the Batch. We're surf fishermen, for Christ's sake. Match the Hatch. Please, what am I, working in a submarine? Anyway.
You know that one, Brandon.
Okay, Brandon, anyway. Brandon, I remember Brandon looking at me. I'm sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Dylan's a cool guy and a good fisherman, yeah. So.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Brandon, without a doubt, Dylan's a good fisherman. I also have met him a few times. He's been here on the show with his wife. He came by. Yeah. Unlike you, Brandon, you want to be on video. Excuse me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Come by
I'm kidding. You got to come by sometime. And with your wife together.
What again? Rockland said Rockland County.
Yeah, you're about 9 hours away from me. I remember when I had Bill Wetzel, I was so scared. It was early in my years of starting this. And Bill Wetzel was like the biggest star I had on, and I had to get him on here. So what I did was I got a limo. I got a limo, and I said, Bill, I'm coming a limo to your house. So the limo, on its way through Queens.
It was an SUV.
An SUV. It was a limo SUV, though. It wasn't just an SUV. My wife has to downgrade everything. 24 years later. 24 years ago would have been like, yeah, it was a limo SUV. I love my husband. My boyfriend. Anyway, so what happened was I got a limo SUV. I'm going to be persistent on that. But I got a limo SUV for him, and I went and picked him up at his house. And halfway through Queens on the way to my house, he called me, and he's like, hey, Eric. Mr. Poseidon is Eric also in the real world. That's the guy you don't want to know, Eric. Forget about him. But anyway, so he calls me up and he says, hey, Eric. He says, where the heck are you? I says, yeah, I'm on the other side of the George Washington Bridge. And he's like, what? He goes, oh, man, I was just talking to the driver. And I'm just praying to God that Bill doesn't turn around and say to me, listen, I can't come all the way up there. I just told him to turn around. But being the sport that Bill Wetzel is, he continued. He came all the way over the bridge. I got him. When he left my house, I was like, I don't care how you get home now. Just get home on your own. No, I didn't do that, man. I had the limo wait for him. I paid for that limo 6 hours. I made sure. But Bill Wetzel was definitely well worth it to have him on as one of my first big guests at my studio live. And there's been a couple of other people. As you know, Bill Jacobs been here twice already. He loves to ride out here. So... Brandon, don't embarrass me again. Get your freaking butt out here for a live in studio.
Don't listen to him.
I'm kidding, Brandon.
It's hard on a Sunday night.
I'm just very happy that that you came on to the show tonight. But we're not done with you yet, and I'm sorry. Tell your wife she's gotta wait. I'm sorry. I know you guys are newlyweds. You gotta be on the show for a few more minutes. Anyway.
Hey, Bloodline Fishing Adventures asking, ask Brandon if he ever uses sluggos or any soft plastics.
Good question.
I really don't, but a lot of guys do, and especially if you're in Montauk, it could kind of emulate the action of an eel. It's a good option. I just never really use it. It would have to be a calm night if you're fishing like a weightless sluggo, but no, it's a good option. You should try it more.
Tightline Fishing asking, do you use any SP minnows?
No, I don't use minnow plugs in general, really.
Okay.
Maybe a redfin. I just don't have as much confidence as a big fish catcher. They definitely catch fish. You can throw it anywhere and cull out any fish that's in the area with that action of the SP, but I like the larger profiles, fatter, longer. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I hear that. I definitely hear that, Brandon. Everybody has, their confident lures. Like, I'm a big confident guy when it comes to bucktails. But most of the time, I'm going to be catching something in the smaller range with bucktails. I'm very satisfied with that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And a lot of times... and a lot. I want to say a lot because I've been fishing a while. You know, I can honestly say with lures, and I did say 15 years ago in Montauk, I had just started a couple of years before that out in Demo Point, things like that, experimenting, not knowing what the bleep I was doing. I don't want to say the correct word, but I want to take out just 30 seconds here. Brandon, stand by. If you got to go to the bathroom, it's a good time to go right now. But we're going to take a little stoppage right here before Brandon comes back, and we'll be right back, Brandon. So, guys, I got here for you right now. Let's see what we got. All right. So, basically, I got for you as giveaways today. Guys, I always give away good stuff, man. Check it out. Look at this thing, man. This is a gremlin lure, basically used at night. Look at the freaking colors on this. I mean, look at this. I mean, you could see this pretty clear. Look at this gorgeous metal lip. It's pretty heavy. I don't know the weight on it approximately, but I'm going to guess at around 9 ounces. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to guess at around 2.5 ounces, 3 tops. But beautiful lure, if not 3 and more. But beautiful lure here. Metal lip. It's for used at night. I mean, it's got to be in the 6-inch range. So you're getting a nice lure there. Also, let's continue on. Let's not forget about my man, 401 Plugs. If you look at the back of here, look. Can you see it right back of me here? 401 Plugs.
Oh, yeah.
This guy makes some awesome plugs. Please trust me. I don't advertise everybody who wants to be on my show for plugs. These guys make these stuff in the USA. 401 Plugs. Look at that. Nice little plastic little leader on there. Beautiful stuff, man. Metal lip. This has got to be in the 3.5-inch range. Wonder Bread, as you can see clearly. Oh, wait, let me put the overhead on. I'm sorry about that. I didn't have the overhead on.
There you go.
Honey, you got to inform me on those things. You can't just talk to the men on the screen on the side.
Oh,
Can't do that. Okay, just kidding. So anyway, I got the beautiful Wonder Bread metal lip here. Look at this. Treble hook. Look at this. It's got everything. It's got everything on here. Got the name on there. All right, anyway. Let me get that exact name. So if you guys are interested and you don't win this, what does it say? South County Pro Short Zinger. Oh, there you go. That's the tail end of it. Obviously, Zinger is in everything in the Northeast. Zinger Baits. I don't have a giveaway of him, of any of his product tonight, but you guys know I support Zinger Baits big time. All right, so we got Vinny's Custom Baits. Vinny, you are wonderful. If you're out there, you're the best. Vinny's always been a big supporter of Mr. Poseidon. But I got a hammer jig, 1 ounce, and I got another hammer jig, different colors. It's good stuff to use if you're fishing the albie season and you got to wing them in quick. This is good stuff. They'll catch you those fish. But that's what I got tonight. But hey, I got the best of the best always on here. And I give away the best stuff. So this is going out to one winner. You know, you're looking at basically $100 here. When I add in this awesome product, let's move this out of the thing. What? All right. So this bag is what I put it in. But let's talk a little bit about my man, Lure Walker. This is a brand new cap. Still has the insert in here. There it is, made by Osprey. Zapped. Yeah, boy. So you got an adjustable zapped cap back here. Now, understand this for you fishermen here. This is waterproof. Waterproof. What's up, bro? Yo, Walker. The Lure Walker, man. My man. I'm fishing with him out in Connecticut a lot. But a lot of people will see these holes and say, hey, man, but if they're waterproof, why does it have all those holes? Because if you're fishing out there and you're really creating heat, remember, most of your heat escapes through your head right here. And all these little holes, help create that escape for the heat. And the amount of rain versus the heat that's coming out, more is coming out in the heat. So just keep that in mind. It's a beautiful Law Walker cap. 2 surf fishermen there. One is my man Law Walker. The other guy I'm praying is me. Anyhow, thank you for that. That'll be tonight's giveaway. Thank you to Law Walker. I'll put this back in the cap, in the bag here. And I only did that because I want to keep this clean. It's a nice white cap.
Light color cap.
You know, spring and summer's coming up, guys. So you'll be getting all this tonight on the giveaway at the end of the show. Thank you very much. Beautiful stuff here. You got, again, let's mention once again, Gremlin Lures. It's a metal lip. It's got to be in the 3.5 ounce range. You got Vinny's Customs. You got the hammer jigs. And let's not forget my man 401 Plugs with the combined Zinger Bait tail there. These guys all work together in the Northeast up there.
Nice. Great
Plug Makers USA. And my man Gian with his Law Walker cap. He just came out of these, so I'm lucky to have one. And some lucky guy is going to win these, or gal is going to win these tonight. Good luck to you, and let's get back to my man. My man. I like to call him my man now, because now I feel like I know him, you know?
Yeah.
What's up, Brandon?
Hey.
Hey, my man. He's like, stop, man. You're embarrassing me, please. This is like my father when he used to come up to me. What are you doing, fishing? Get in the house.
Let's see here. We have Tim Murphy asking, Brandon, what's your go-to darter color?
I would say either chartreuse green or orange over white. Anything in the bright. I usually use brighter lures, like lighter colors in general, but I would say chartreuse or orange over white.
And let's see, we have Turtle Cove Tackle. Ask Brandon about taking reels to the blank. Does he like that, or does he prefer a reel seat? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I always tape my reels to my rod. A reel seat could fail. I know some of them have a washer that doesn't allow it to spin backwards, but you know, they could unscrew or they could get ripped off the reel seat. When I tape it, I use zip ties first, then electrical tape, then hockey tape. So there's no play in it at all, and there's no losing it. I don't know. I feel more comfortable that way.
Gotcha.
Hey, by the way, quick question. Off the charts here. Not even talking about fishing, Brandon. Brandon's like, oh, my God, what's next on this list tonight? Did you used to play hockey at all?
No.
I did. I played 29 years, and I'd kick your ass if it was hockey. But we're not talking about hockey, so I'm not kicking your ass. No, I think,
Brandon, you mentioned you used to play baseball?
Yeah, I played baseball. Yeah.
Nice. You still play or no?
So just in case, I have to mention, just in case, my partner, Louis Coppola, who's a huge Met fan. I know you're a Met fan because I saw one of your postings, right, in Citi Field. Are you a Met fan?
I'm a Yankee fan, but I was...
Yeah, you fucked it up. Shut him off, honey. Shut the live stream down.
That's all right.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my partner, Louis, at work, huge Met fan, huge baseball fan, knows every rule, everything about there is to know about baseball. He does not mess around. And I ask him everything there is to know about baseball. But going back to you, so... Say what you were going to say, Brandon. Is what was your baseball career consistent of?
No, I just played through travel teams up until like pretty much college, because to continue baseball in college, you would have to play for the college pretty much or go minor leagues and pros. So it's kind of done from here. But unless you find a league where older people, or I don't know, a lot of people do softball now when they get older, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's okay.
No, that's fine, buddy. That's fine. Also, another 10-second break here.
What?
Guys, you have to understand, we're basically working on donations here. I don't care if you're donating $1 or $2. Show hard here. Please help us out on the show. That's right. I'm basically begging because this will be the last show. I need exactly $97,000 to make it for the next show. But thank you, everybody who has donated to me in the past or today. I mean, it's just wonderful. But please help us out in any way you can. We take all donations. I'm sorry, it's only American dollars. As for now, we're trying to work something out with YouTube in the future. But thank you for that. So going back to Brandon. Go ahead, honey.
Joe Pinto, if your usual spots aren't producing on a tough night, what do you start to look for in structure to change things up?
So if your usual spot's not producing and you're going on like a scouting mission, I mean, you look for the usual points and coves and stuff, but I'm at the point where, depending on the time of year, if the area is not producing, I'll probably just fish it the whole night, and then maybe even the next night, and just because I'm hard-headed with what I think will produce, so I don't really go on scouts that much anymore, but it could always help. And with Montauk, what I'll do is you go from the north side to the south side usually. If the north side's not doing, you can go to the south side. It's kind of a whole different ball game over there.
Gotcha. Let's see here.
Yeah, Joe, listen, those Speedo pictures, I do have one, but it's never going to be seen in the history of the Mr. Poseidon. Mr. Poseidon lifetime. But anyway, other than that.
Let's see here. Wormway asking, do you chum before fishing?
Ah.
No.
No.
There you go.
Chum, like as in like what a boat would do? Chum? No, I don't.
No.
I don't.
I was thinking the other way, like you were, Brandon. Like, all right, let's go.
No.
Let's see. Benny asking, what are your thoughts on slack tide? Have you got any cows during slack tide?
I love slack, by the way, Brandon.
Okay, we're asking Brandon.
Slack tide is a good point to throw an eel if you're in Montauk. And, there's really no current. I would say if you're throwing a darter or something, you're going to need that current. So maybe an eel or a sluggo, like what was mentioned. But it all varies. A couple summers ago, the bite changed from every stage of the tide. It just varied every single night. Sometimes it'd be on the last of the out, and then the next night it would be top of the in. It just changes frequently. I don't really have slack tide spots or anything like that. Yeah.
I just want to mention, before you get on to that next question, something very important you just said. Now, you like throwing eels. Well, if you're going to throw eels, it's at slack tide. And that's a great point to be making, especially in Montauk, where you can get into areas with a lot of current. You can get in an area with a lot of current anywhere. But specifically in Montauk, what you're talking is very important. It's when you're going to get the most effect out of your reel, whether you can get it out there 3, 4, 5 times in that 15-minute vicinity, am I correct? Where you can reel in nice and slow and not have the tide affected in any way. I think you have a pretty good shot of catching the big fish. At least I believe in slack tide. I know I'm going to have a guest on in March by the name of, Brandon, Billy the Greek. He's going to be on, and he loves that slack tide, and I can't wait to hear his stories. But, that's a very important point I think you took when you said slack tide using eels. It's a beautiful, carry those eels with you, and when you go swimming deep for those rocks, put those reels right on your side where you want to lose your life in Montauk. No. You'll go down as a camaraderie, trust me. Rah, rah, rah on the Poseidon show. Be very careful. You heard of what he said earlier. If you're going to go swimming deep into water, he wouldn't recommend you carrying eels by your side. Now, you're getting deeper on those rocks to get your lure out there farther, maybe to catch a bigger fish, which in Brandon's case isn't so much a maybe. I could have put up more pictures. I just was stopped after that. I was like, wow, such a young guy to be catching big fish. And remember, he's young and he's catching these fish in a time when people say, oh, nah, man, Montauk's dead. No, Montauk's not dead. Don't forget that. Know what you're doing when you get out there. And if you don't know, you get yourself Bill Wetzel. Perfectly fine guy, probably the best out in Montauk. Call him up. Hopefully he'll be available those nights you're out there, and you can get him at your guide. That'll get you your start into Montauk and how to fish it the correct ways. He's not going to go out there and catch you a 40-pound fish, but he's going to give you that chance to get out there every time you decide to get out there and know what you're doing a little bit rather than not knowing anything and going to Montauk and saying, oh, man, it sucks. No, you suck. Where the hell were you fishing? Can't fish in a pool. Striped bass aren't in a pool. But anyway, I'm kidding when I say that, but you guys get the ideas. I want to say right now, Carl Newman, thank you very much for that. What a wonderful gentleman. Always supporting me. Don AZ, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you. And wow is what I'm talking about. And if you can go up a little higher, honey.
Okay.
No, Joe Pinto also.
Thank you.
Thank you always, Joe, to you. You don't have to do that. Joe, just because of you made me a millionaire on YouTube. Stop already. Such a good guy. WR.
We have Tight Line Fishing. He was asking Joe, what are your thoughts on ODM rods? I don't know if he's asking Brandon or he's asking
and
Joe
just
Pinto.
to let you know, honey, I know we've been married 24 years, but Brandon is the guest, not... What are you reading? I'm sorry, Brandon.
Oh,
I wish you were married 24 years. You'd be right now. You wouldn't be
know.
laughing. You're like, I get it.
Hold on. We got another question.
Yeah,
Let's
who
see.
else is coming in tonight?
Let's see. We have...
We're just looking at the questions here, what she should have been doing, but she wasn't doing.
Sometimes they're coming up really
You
quick.
weren't doing it. What's wrong with you?
Hold on.
Marriage life. Give me my phone. I want to fling this so hard right now like a flying
Brandon's thoughts
saucer.
on top water plugs. There's Carl Newman asking Brandon's thoughts on top water plugs.
Ah, there you go.
I don't fish much during the day, so I don't really. I know guys that really love top water pencils and fishing during dusk and dawn. I just don't do that frequently. I would say for big fish, I would go with a pencil popper over the little neck super strikes with the bottleneck type head. I think a pencil usually gets the bigger fish. Another kind of secret is a lot of guys I know will throw those super strike poppers at night, and they'll swim them because they swim pretty good and they get far. So if you're looking to throw a top water at night, you could throw one of those.
Nice. There you go. I mean, you guys are getting it straight from the guy who's only fished Montauk. What? You've only been there once before, Brandon, to Montauk?
Yeah, it's just almost twice. Yeah, it's turned around.
So, pick this up. It's a guy who's been fishing there a while. You don't need to know spots. He's basically telling you north and south shore sides. The rest is up to you guys. You got to get out there. You got to figure it out. And it starts with Bill Wetzel if you haven't been out there. Call Bill. Make sure you get him as your guide. And trust me, you don't have to use him every single time you go out there, but it sure is nice to get a head start. Go ahead, honey.
So Joe Pinto asking, ask Brandon what he does for a living to allow him to fish.
Ah, there you go.
Okay.
So I just graduated college in 2019.
He's a liar. He's a gigolo dancer. That's what you told me. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Brandon. I'm kidding.
During college, I fished a lot because I would schedule my classes or around it or just not go. But now it's been a little harder. I work as a pipe rehab. We work at water mains, and we put a liner in it. Actually, it's an epoxy liner. I've been working with it it's my dad's business, probably 15 years on and off, but the last 4 years it's full commitment. So it's hard. Like tomorrow I gotta get up at 3:50. So that's part of the reason why I'm not by Mr. Poseidon right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah, without a doubt. Life is hard in America, Brandon, but I know most of us who understand, as yourself right now, you are hardworking, you said. That hard work, in the end, should, give you what you want in life if you're doing the right thing and you're not doing drugs and drinking and faking people that you have water in your pineapple cup, then things should turn out okay after that. But once you start telling people you got water in your pineapple cup, you got issues, you know? Other than that, Brandon, no, I appreciate you, man. I really so happy you got on the show. I know there's so many more things I can keep going on. It is 8:38.
I know. I feel bad
people,
now that you
now
say you gotta wake up early.
It's you, man. It's
Oh
like
boy.
I don't.
you.
I do good on little sleep. That's another crucial part of it.
Yeah, right. Well,
Yeah,
that
fishermen
part
know
comes
that.
from being a surf fisherman. That's definitely
Exactly.
has a big part to
Go
doing
on.
it.
Very
But
little sleep.
I don't want to hold you up. I'm going to have you back on the show, Brandon. We'll set up another date for another time. Hopefully, you'll want to be back on the show because you were great today. I know for the viewers, a ton. You've done a ton. If you want to hang out a few minutes before we say our few, or you can even go now. I know you got to go, man, but
There's no rush.
okay, I'm just going to give away the stuff here, honey. You want to
Hang out
do
a couple
the
more minutes. Okay. Brandon, you'll hang out with us for a little bit.
So guys,
while
if you
we
got
do.
if you got a comment left on the comment picker on from last week's show, then she's gonna run the comment picker, and I suggest you run that
Okay,
comment
ready?
picker.
And 1, 2, 3, and the winner is
Kevin R.
Kevin R.
Kevin R. So
here.
if Kevin R is out there tonight, you win the prize, Kevin R. Let's go.
Not to be confused. With,
Oh, there he
there
is. He's here. That was quick. I didn't even have to go into the
Nice.
10-second count.
didn't
I
have
don't
to
see Kevin R. Does anybody see him out there tonight? I don't see a thing out there.
Very
All right,
nice.
Kevin. Listen, congratulations, Kevin. You're going to get yourself an overhead look again. You're going to get yourself that beautiful Lure Walker cap. You can adjust it to your big head, all right? I'm glad you won. No, I'm kidding. You get yourself that beautiful, beautiful Gremlin Lures. I picked this up for myself, and Gremlin Lure makes a dynamite product. Check him out. Also, the 401 plug. It's a mini. Also added on with that is the Zinger Bay tail.
Nice.
That trail, beautiful, nice. And the final is the Hammerhead jigs. Two of them, one in the blue and silver. And my wife is like, okay, and next, and next. And the white Hammerhead jig. And that's all by Vinny's Customs also. So congrats to Kevin R. Kevin R., make sure you Instagram me your address and everything on the personal message, not for everybody
You
to
can
see.
also email us, and
Yeah.
the email is on our About, on our
Right.
YouTube bio.
There you go.
All
So I
right.
wanted to say thank you to everybody for showing up. Again, going back to Brandon.
Thank you,
Buddy,
Brandon.
thank you so much.
It was really great having you.
So much, buddy. Congrats, man, on everything, on your wedding. I know you're not even a year. Things are still looking good, but I can't wait.
Newlywed.
Can't wait when I'm holding that cane and I'm going, yeah? What do you think about bleeping marriage now? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It goes quickly.
It goes
Brandon,
quickly, and
but
if you got a
it's
good
great.
partner in life, I know you do have a good partner, it's going to be a great ride, man. No doubt about it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, everybody. Brandon, anything else you want to say to anybody out there?
Shout
Your
outs.
parents watching or anything? You sure? Because you're going to get yelled at.
Mom.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me, and good show. I like what you guys are doing, so keep doing it.
Aw.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you
Thanks,
so much. We
Brandon.
appreciate you.
We'll see you out
Take
there.
care, and we'll see
you next
everybody out there.
time.
See everybody on the surf. Yeah, Mr. B. Let's go.
Peace out, everybody.